Who do you want to talk about first?
Mitch Sherman, The Athletic.
He can play. And we need people that can play.
And we'll never be royal. Let me live that fantasy. Oh.
Mitch Sherman, The Athletic. On the Connor Happer Show. On 1620 The Zone.
He can play.
All right, we're joined now on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline by Mitch Sherman of The Athletic. Mitch, good morning. What's going on?
It's still morning.
I think so.
I need it to be like 6.5 hours from now.
I know. But it's very clear. One time somebody asked me this, and I will ask you the same. Do you have the big game feelings in your tum-tum?
Yeah, today I do. I didn't really as much on Saturday or Monday. Not sure why. Saturday I understand why, because I was preoccupied, had other things on my mind. Monday, I think I was maybe just slightly resigned to the fact that I didn't think it was going to go anywhere, and this series was just going to end as everyone expected, and the Royals would have had a great season to have made it to the American League Division Series. But now I want to win it.
I know. It's this new weird feeling. This is obviously a huge game, so we'll see. But
like
baseball's
2015 all over again, Connor.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going there yet.
I'm not saying that's going to happen. I feel like that. I'm not ready to put that on this team is not good enough to do that, but we can dream.
I don't know. That 2014 team, I don't know how good they were. They made it all the way to Game 7, so why not? And the playoffs are a crapshoot anyway. So yeah, I'm feeling a bit nervous as well. I wouldn't mind fast forwarding either. For Nebraska though, they take the much needed week off to get healthy, and it's at a nice little halfway point. I've enjoyed so we did the midseason awards on our podcast for today, and I enjoyed that exercise. And so now I'm thinking about like stats that Nebraska has halfway, and if you double those, like what that means for the season. And so they've one of the things that we mentioned in this show was that Nebraska has just not turned the ball over really 4 times, 3 interceptions, 1 fumble. They've done that through 6 games halfway through the season. Is that a trend? Is that a stat that continues, or that gets a little bit larger in the second half with more tough competition?
If they can go through the whole season with only losing 2 fumbles,
I know, but it's possible.
I'm not going to make one of these comments like a Florida State fan or a Kansas State fan. I mean, I'm not. No, but
good call.
That would be wild. Like it doesn't happen, but they're on pace for it. And remember, that fumble was in game 1. So you're looking at a 5-game stretch where they've not lost a fumble. And we are just throwing the jinx hard on them by talking about this fact.
Yeah.
And the interceptions and everything. Look, it's been really good. It's been very good. And if you want to talk about like a number one reason why Nebraska has survived some sketchy play in different areas, all facets of the team have had their moments of being sketchy. The defense, it's been largely very good, but hey, there was the Illinois game, and there were moments in other games too. If you were to say, what's the one reason that they're 5-1 despite these warts that we've seen, it's the turnover situation. It's just what it is. It's they're not on track to be minus 17 like a year ago. So this kind of lines up with some of the off-season conversation that if Nebraska could just fix the turnovers, and that was it, think about how much better the team could be.
I'm thinking back to each of their turnovers now, and I guess the highest leverage turnover was probably, was it the pick that Dylan threw on Saturday against Rutgers? I mean, that was the latest in the game with the most on the line. That was the highest leverage turnover.
The pick in the end zone that got stripped away from Nair.
That would have put him up, I think, by 2 touchdowns, right?
Was that against Illinois?
Yes.
That was, right? Yeah, that to me, because that one happened in a loss. So that to me, if you're up, I don't remember the score at that moment, but any additional touchdown in that game, and it swung momentum too, any additional touchdown in that game probably prevents it from going to overtime.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's really the one this year. Cause I think about the turnovers that they've had in the past, and it's like, oh, well, they had it on these last drives and in these important moments or right before half or something like that. So not only have they not turned it over, they've turned it over in pretty bland, generally times as well. They've also got 20 sacks in the first half of the season, and they've also got 10 takeaways in the first 6 games of the season. If you double up those numbers to make them last for an entire year, I mean, that is there's just no way around it, Mitch. That's a winning formula, regardless of any of the other warts that Nebraska has.
Yeah, and then you think, well, 4 of the last 6 games are on the road, and the toughest days are ahead. It's an interesting thing to think about. I don't expect that Nebraska can keep up some of that stuff. The turnover part of it. I don't think this is a team that's built to turn the ball over a lot, and I think it's a defense. I could see the defense getting even better with some of the turnovers that it generates. But offensively, stuff's going to happen. Like, they're going to play opportunistic defenses, and defenses that they have already, but they're going to play defenses with very good athletes and teams that specialize in taking the ball away. And it's going to happen. Like, you're going to have those moments where you turn the ball over, but it looks like a team that's set up to be on the positive side of that. And that's just been so few and far between in recent Nebraska history. Not even recent. Like, we're talking 20 to 25 years of a program that I think twice has finished with a positive turnover margin.
I could pull it up right now.
2004, you go back to 2004.
Yeah.
Because in 2003, they had a crazy positive number with Pelini in charge of the defense. 2004 all the way till the present. I think it's 2 years that they've finished in the black.
I have the numbers starting from 2013. I don't know why I started there, but so they were +5 in 16, and they were flat 0 in 2019, and that's it. I mean, and in most of the seasons, Mitch, like it's like -5 to 10 in that range.
Yeah. 2009, the Sue's senior year, they were plus, and I think it was a pretty big plus. I might have just been around 5, but that's the only other time since 2004. I've charted it back to 2004, and if you go back, Nebraska was a much different program in the generation previous to that. But if you go back into the Osborne years, every year is a high. I mean, every year is like +13, +12. So that's one area among others in this program that has nosedived off of what the standard was. And if you're just inching back toward that, we'll see if it doesn't even have staying power to have lasted a full season yet. We're halfway through.
Yeah.
But if they make it through this season, then the task is to just make it kind of a cultural thing for Nebraska football, because the couple times where they've dug themselves out of this for 1 year, the next season they've gone right back into being a turnover machine.
It's pretty simple. I mean, Nebraska has gone from using the quarterback run a lot in a design way to using none of it this year. And so from that perspective, you could look at that and say, oh, well, it's kind of artificial, but it doesn't really matter if it's, this is the way that they're going to play football anyway. It's not like it's just they designed it so they wouldn't turn the ball over for the express purpose of that. It's for the express purpose of trying to win football games, and they have a really good quarterback. Like, they've ditched that part, and it's gone away instantaneously.
Yeah, the trend in football, and it's been a trend for a long time, but the modern football, the great quarterbacks often are the dual threats and players that can get you first downs with their legs. And those are the quarterbacks that defensive coordinators hate to face more than anyone. And I'm curious about what Dylan Raiola's evolution is going to be moving forward beyond this first year, and if they'll become a guy who we just haven't seen it very much, once or twice, can get you a first down, can get out and move the chains. I mean, the quarterback, who everyone of course wants to talk about, that Raiola emulates, is Pat Mahomes, and he's very good at that. Mahomes is very good at that, despite not being an athlete like Lamar Jackson. So I know people will say, no, just keep him in the pocket, keep him healthy, keep him safe, don't start fumbling. But that would be an element of Nebraska's offense where I think you could get out of some of these things where they've stalled in the second half or even the first half, like against Purdue, of a game, if they had an ability to run that play on a third down, third and short, just trust him to be safe and get to the sticks and move the chains.
You wrote a blurb today on The Athletic the Athletic team sort of ranked the toughest and easiest schedules on the 5 sides on each. Nebraska came in as the third hardest remaining schedule in the Big Ten. And it's a difficult road, but Nebraska's positioned themselves with kind of what they were supposed to do. Now, this Indiana game has kind of ended up being a swing. I can't wait all the same stuff with the ranked team, and now it takes on a little bit of a different light. It's almost like I know Nebraska needs it. From my personal standpoint, I almost wish this game was this weekend, because it's a huge, exciting game now. Like, what do you think about that and the idea of Nebraska kind of managing that schedule a little differently in the second half?
I am glad we're getting this weekend off. I want to enjoy college football this weekend, and it's been a run of games here for the past 6 weeks. So I'm glad to take a breath. But I know what you mean about anticipating the Indiana game, I'm happy that we get an extra week to go over this one. I think if you have a bye and you come off the bye and you're playing a game that's not all that attractive, it makes that bye seem even longer. But we can build this thing up, and it's going to get built up, in Nebraska, of course, about Nebraska. And what does this mean? Can Nebraska pull what would be an upset and move to 6-1 and be rolling when it faces the toughest challenge on its schedule at Ohio State a week later? But nationally and around the Big Ten, this is going to be about Indiana. This is like the Illinois game, but flipped for Nebraska. And Nebraska was Illinois was ranked for that one. But I think still there was so much talk about Nebraska just getting back into the rankings, and not a lot of people were talking about Illinois before that game. Let's be honest about that. And that's what it's going to be for Indiana next week. And we've heard Matt Rule talk a lot about the evolution of a team and learning to deal with success, and how it's easy to kind of rest on your success at times. It's part of the growth. Well, this is year one for Curt Cignetti in Indiana, and we'll find out. Are the Hoosiers immune to that? Have they just jumped past all of these levels where you have to go one step back to go 2 steps forward? At some point, that's going to hit them, right? I mean, you would certainly think so in a first-year program, and Nebraska's hoping that it's next Saturday in Bloomington.
All right, Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Mitch, enjoy the baseball tonight. I'll be watching on the edge of my seat.
Thank you. Same to you.
All right,
bye.
That's Mitch Sherman from The Athletic.